This Icon podcast is hosted and sponsored by Sphere Rocket Virtual Assistants, a leading provider for your virtual assistants and outsourcing needs. Owned by one of the top-ranking EXP agents, Justin Nelson. Sphere Rocket VA provides a one-stop virtual staffing solution for business owners, and we specialize in helping business owners grow their business by leveraging through virtual assistants. Trusted by the top names in the real estate industry like Kyle Whistle, Andrew Franklin, John Kitchens, and many more. Get ready to up your success and we'll help you achieve your business goals. Book your free consultation at sphererocketva.com and find out how we can make your life easier.
Welcome back to another episode of the Icon Podcast. I'm your host, Gianna, and today we have the opportunity to speak to Junior Matthews. Welcome to the show. Thank you for your time.
Absolutely. Glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you. So Junior, let's take it back in time. Who are you? Where are you from? How did you find yourself in real estate?
So, as you said, my name is Junior Matthews. I got started in real estate coming up on the end of my active duty tour. I've always been interested in real estate for a long time, specifically as an investor. And that's kind of what brought me into the real estate world. And as I was studying investing, listening to all the podcasts and reading up on it, one of the major things that was continuously repeated was, why don't you get your real estate license as well? So that's kind of what brought me into getting my real estate license. And I did that 4 years ago, actually, while I was still on active duty. And but for the past 2 years, I've been doing it seriously. My first couple of years was just kind of getting my feet wet, running some other businesses. And then real estate took off for me. And so I'm originally from Oklahoma, been around the world through the military. I was in the Marines and then switched over to the Army. So been to multiple different duty stations and ended up here in Georgia by way of the military. And my wife and I, we have a son together. His name's Rylan. He's 7 years old. And we're currently in Richmond Hill, Georgia. We decided to make this home and we love it here. And real estate's going great. So that's a quick snapshot of my background.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for your service, Junior. And, you've been in real estate and interested in the investing game for a while. So how did you stumble across EXP?
So when I first started, I went with a local broker here where I'm at and found out real quick wasn't a good fit. And so I started researching the different brokerages around here and ended up going to another guy who was an investor. And I wanted to kind of learn from him the investment side of the game. And he was just really busy. Great guy. We're still friends this day, but he just was really busy. Wasn't a great teacher and just wasn't a good fit. So I found myself looking for another brokerage and I spent hours and hours and hours of researching what all the different brokerages offer out there. And EXP and Keller Williams kind of came to the end. Okay. So I'm comparing these two. These two seem like a pretty good fit. And then as I started studying more, I found out real quickly that it was a no-brainer. I mean, EXP with what all they offer with their multiple streams of income. And
we love that part.
Oh my goodness. I mean, you can't compete with it. And then when you start talking profit share and revenue share and the difference between those two, the model's just, it can't be beat. So it was a no-brainer and I haven't looked back since.
Yeah, that's awesome. And now that you're over here, I mean, obviously we talked about some of the really cool things that EXP has to offer. You touched on rev share a little bit and, they've got collaborations, stock options. You didn't touch on rev share. You talked on stock options, whatever. Is it Monday? My brain's dead. But, Junior, you touched on some of the really cool things that EXP has to offer. So now that you're over here, what do you love about EXP, or maybe what's something that you didn't expect about EXP that now you really enjoy and utilize almost every day?
So there's a lot of things. We have a solid group of realtors that I work with here. That are with EXP, and a lot of them kind of were in the same situation when they were part of a brokerage that they, and some of them were EXP brokerages, just wasn't a good fit. So, one of the big concerns with newer agents is, is this a good fit? Because I need support and there may not be an EXP team that has the support I need to be successful. Well, you got to have people that you work with, people that you collaborate with, do masterminds with. And we have a solid group of those agents around here. We all work together and help each other out. And that's important. So you got to have that. It's really hard to succeed without that. But just the referral network across the United States. I went to the shareholder summit. Matter of fact, I met you there. You probably don't remember me, but I did.
I
I
remember
was
meeting you there.
there. And just the meeting of all the different agents and sharing contact information. That referral network is huge. That's just one of the things. I mean, there's the revenue share. I'm not a big recruiter. I'm starting to try a little bit more of doing that kind of stuff. Just the passive income that's created from that. I had the opportunity to bring on some pretty high level agents that I'm getting to see some decent checks come in every month from their production. And
Yeah.
so that's just huge. And the list goes on. I mean, I'm thinking about getting licensed in South Carolina, because you got one cap with the EXP, right?
Right. And you could do multiple states, which is awesome.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's great. To take advantage of those things, Junior, and that's what EXP is all about. That's why they offer those things, and that's why they're growing so rapidly. And Junior, before we dive into all things Icon, let's talk a little bit about you, right? You said you've got a wife, and so you've got a family, and you've got work, and you've got a downline, and there's a lot going on in the life of Junior Matthews. So
Yes.
where do you draw the line? How do you balance work and play and make sure that you're not, burning out?
Well, yeah, and I haven't even really dove into what all we got going on. We got quite a few businesses going on, and so and that's and once we start getting into kind of what I feel like is contributing to my success, we'll get into that a little bit more. But yeah, that's important. The balance is huge. Family's most important to me, and my wife and I both, are so busy with work that we're really careful to, and we probably should do better at this, but we need to, dedicate time on the counter, spend time together as a family. And that's always the best times ever. Well, just like the shareholder summit, we made a vacation out of that. So when we weren't doing the lectures and the presentations and stuff like that, we were enjoying family time, and we take every opportunity to do that just to make sure that we're balancing life out with the daily duties.
Absolutely. No, that makes sense. And you have to pour into the things outside of work to be able to recharge and step away and be your best self to your clients and family. And it's a balance, and it's never quite, in the middle. Sometimes one outweighs the other, and that's just life. But Junior, let's talk production then, right? So you're looking at maybe entering a couple different markets. So that would be, when you do that, I'd love to have you back on, and we can,
Absolutely.
kind of talk a little more about the differences for you and your team, and as a entrepreneurial mindset, how that has challenged you a bit. But for now, let's just talk about the market that you're in. What does that average housing price look like, and how many homes does it take you to be able to hit your cap? How many houses do you have to sell?
So I'm seeing myself somewhere around 250 to 300,000 is kind of the average point, somewhere in between. So probably 275 would be a good number to go off of. And usually around 35 is what it takes to hit that icon.
Okay, awesome. And then I just like to ask that question because, Georgia's going to be a little different than LA and,
Right.
Alaska and all these crazy markets. So it's a good gauge for our listeners. And Junior, beyond just production when it comes to iconing, there's also a cultural commitment, which means, with all the crazy business that you're doing, you actually are forced to step back, step away, and give back to EXP. So there's extra effort that needs to go in there, whether you're a mentor or a teacher or vet other icons. So what avenue do you take for that, and why?
So, I know that EXP just recently came up with their new options for those cultural requirements. I decided to go the old route and just do the mentor program simply because it allows me the opportunity to be able to do that, and I'm certified to do that, and I just think it's another thing to add to the bring to the table for new agents if I wanted to help somebody out. So that's the route I took. In terms of the stuff that's the newer options, I'm not even familiar with that yet. I haven't got into that, but I'm excited to see what all other opportunities there are out there. But I chose the mentorship route.
Yeah, that new little point system they introduced at the shareholders
Yeah.
icon breakfast. Yeah, I need to kind of dive into that as well. Not that I'm a agent that produces that much, but I talk to icon agents every day, so I need to kind of get a better understanding of that. But it seems kind of like everybody's not too sure about the new system just yet.
Yeah, it's
But
new. It's gonna take some time to figure it out and
yeah,
understand what it's about.
and it seems like it's making iconing just a little bit tougher, which makes it even more of an elite status. And so that's pretty exciting for those that are, take pride in that and are dedicated to, being an icon agent and a leader within EXP. And Junior, that icon award comes with so many benefits. You get the opportunity to go to EXP Con and shareholders and receive stock for that. You get the opportunity to earn your cap back in stock. You get a big glass shiny trophy. You get pins at these conferences. You get some really cool stuff. And so, what is your favorite benefit of being an icon agent, and why do you keep putting that on your list of goals?
Well, at first thought, and if you would have asked me, 3 or 4 months ago, what the biggest benefit in that was, I probably would have said, getting the money back, right, in stock. That's cool because you're essentially working for a brokerage that's free.
Mhm.
However, you're getting paid in company stock, which to me is money, and that is huge, and that's obviously a big motivator. But for me, I think the biggest benefit is having something that's going to challenge me each year. Now, that's like the new standard, right? So last year when I achieved icon, I was like, okay, that's great. I did it one time. I don't want it to be a fluke. This is now the new standard.
Mhm.
And so I'm already looking at this year. I'm like, all right, what am I going to do? What I got to do to be icon again? What do I need to do to separate myself from the competition and be that much better? And so it's going to happen again this year, right? So I'll be a 2-time icon. But now I'm like, all right, the market's starting to shift. Can I do it 3 times? So now it's the new standard. So it's forcing me to be better and to not ever let myself fall below that, because I don't want to be like a 2-time icon and then go 3 years without being icon, because it's just not cool, right? You just want to,
Right.
it's just a new standard, and you want to have that. And so that's the biggest benefit. I love that. And then all the perks that come with it, the money back, that's cool. But I like that in itself because it challenges me to achieve that.
No, absolutely, and I like that. That's your new bar. Not only is it a goal, but it's a standard for you now, Junior, which is great when icons set that, because how lame is it to icon one year and then flop the next couple? That's
Yeah,
not what we want to see. Um,
exactly.
so that's awesome, Junior. And when it comes to iconing, as a first year agent with EXP, whether they've had some skin in the game for a while or maybe they're a rookie, what does it take for them to become an icon agent in their first year? Either what are some daily goals they need to be setting out on, or major mistakes to avoid? What's some advice for people with those high aspirations in their first year with EXP?
Okay. Before I get into that, I got to make a correction on my numbers because I told you wrong. So in
Junior,
terms
you're
of
a liar.
achieving, yeah, well, that's why I'm getting it right now. The 30 to 35 transactions is what it took to cap. So it took
Okay.
a 20 additional. So it's somewhere around
Mm,
55 is what I
wow.
had last year. I barely made icon.
Jeez. Okay, so I thought, when you said 30 to 35, I thought for sure you were including the transactions after.
No,
So that's
well,
crazy.
yeah, I started thinking about that. I was like, no, that's wrong. So yeah, it took me about 55, I think, is what I had my last
Okay. No,
EXP
so
deal.
technically, Junior, you did answer the question correctly, because we know that it takes 20 transactions after, but I just assumed because that was a pretty big number. I was like, it's
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
probably just this.
It's a little
Okay.
bit lower. It's a little bit lower price point. I mean, it's decent, but I mean, in
Mhm.
some of these other markets where you're doing $500,000-$600,000 deals, obviously it's going to take half of that.
Right.
Um, you will be at around 30 to icon in those types of markets. But anyways, so I had to clear that up because I didn't want there to be any confusion. I know somebody's
It's
probably
okay.
putting the numbers
Thanks
in.
for thanks for backtracking a little here.
But anyways, so in terms of my recommendation on what it's going to take for an agent to become an icon agent, first year is going to be really difficult. Your first year, you're working the business, and unless you're just really connected with the community and you have that reputation of being a confident agent that can be trusted, and that's and I'll get into that a little bit more, but that first year is going to take a lot of work in the business, setting yourself up for the next year to have a good year, because it takes time. It takes time and effort to work your sphere of influence and all those important things. Really, that's your SOI is the most important thing, in my opinion. But that first year is going to be tough. But what it's going to take to be successful, and you hear this all the time, sphere of influence, and a lot of agents are probably like, oh, that's just the normal go-to because nobody wants to give their secrets. Well, the reality is it's not. It's so true. I would say 85% of my deals are from my sphere of influence. And so that's huge. You got to work your sphere. You've got to work. You got to stay in front of them, and you got to let them know that you're that real estate professional that they can trust. And then what it's going to take is, for you to be, once again, you have to be knowledgeable, you have to be confident, and you're going to have to get them to believe that. And so work that sphere of influence, work it. Now, the other business that I get is important too. I do business with OpCity, Realtor.com, same company. I closed, I think, 9 transactions with them last year. And so I think I'm ranked number 5 out of 119 right now in my region. And so a lot of people think that OpCity is not worth investing in. Yeah, I mean, it may be 1 in 100 leads, but you know what? 1 in 100 is not bad, and that one can turn into who knows what. So I deal with OpCity, and then I also have a short sale team out of Texas that sends me leads. So I do a lot of short sale business.
Sure.
And then referrals, like I was talking about earlier. Referrals with the EXP agents is huge. I get quite a few of those too. But that sphere of influence, you got to work it. You got to stay in front of them. You got to get connected with the community, and you got to continue to work it hard and stay in front of them. And that's the biggest thing. There's no secret sauce. And I know we've all heard that time and time again. Don't go throwing all this money at these different lead generation companies, Zillow and all that stuff. Yeah, you can get business there. But based on my experience, it's not there. It's the sphere of influence, and you got to work it.
Absolutely, Junior. No, that's awesome advice. Stay in front of them. Take on those transactions, because if you're looking to icon, every transaction counts, right? And so,
That's right.
and that's after you cap too. So those short sales or just a plot of land, whatever it is, those are important. And Junior, my next question is going to be: were you ever skeptical of EXP when it was introduced to you?
No. And I did things kind of backwards with my whole real estate career. And a lot of it's because of my background. Being in the military, I went from enlisted to being an officer. So I was on active duty. I was in a leadership role. At one point in time, I had 250 soldiers underneath me as a company commander. So I already kind of had that leadership role and that just ability to figure things out on my own. And so that's not recommended, but that's what I did. I figured things out on my own. I didn't really, find that expert and absorb their knowledge. I figured everything out on my own. I just did it myself, right? And it worked, but it's not the recommended way of doing things. So after I researched EXP until I was blue in the face, I just knew that it was a good fit. I knew that it was where I needed to go, and no regrets, because I was just, I was on all the different forums and reading the back and forth. And I always do that when I'm trying to make any decision. I want to get a good visual of, all the different angles that's got to be considered.
Well, especially when it comes to your living, right?
Yeah. So never skeptical. I can understand how some are, but the business model just speaks for itself. It can't fail, in my opinion. I mean, I know stock's down right now, but the economy's down, so obviously that's going to affect that. So I'm not getting wound up about that. I remember when I first saw how much it dropped, and I looked at my, rev share, or not my rev share, but my actual stock number, and I was pretty concerned about that. And then I realized, hey, it's the economy. It's going to work itself out.
It's the game of ups and downs, and that'll be okay, especially as EXP continues to grow. Again, it's just another stream of income. It's not like that's still extra money in your pocket, right? Because at other brokerages, oh my gosh, I have the hiccups and they're killing me. That $16,000 just stays on the table if that's your cap there, sometimes more. So it's ridiculous. And EXP at least gives you the opportunity to earn it back, whether it hopefully, ideally gains more value or not, right? So at the end of the day, it's still a win. And Junior, for anybody watching right now that may be skeptical of EXP, right? They see the greener grass, they've done their research, and they're just nervous, right? They're like, oh, my brokerage says they're a pyramid scheme, they're a cult. Don't drink the Kool-Aid, and I'm loyal to my broker, but this business model makes more sense for me. How would you encourage them to go ahead and cut the cord and make the move?
Well, you just got to look at the facts, as you stated. And I wish I had the actual numbers. I used to follow it, but EXP is growing like crazy, and it's growing
Yeah.
for a reason because their business model makes sense. There's no. I see these little brokerages. They're trying to compete with it. And they're trying to duplicate EXP's model, but they're not the original, cloud brokerage with this type of model that's going to rise to the top. They're just wannabes, and EXP is kind of speaking for itself. You see the big names out there that are becoming a part of EXP. You see all the every time you turn around, you see big million, sometimes even $1 billion brokerages that are closing down their brokerages to fall underneath EXP, and they're doing that for a reason. So just look around you; it's happening. You might as well get on the train before it's too. I mean, it's never too late, of course, but do it sooner than later. Do it sooner than
Right.
later.
You'll be thankful getting in when these stocks are low.
Yes, now's the time. Now's the time, and for sure. So it just and again, everybody, and this is what I tell everybody. We all have different things we're looking for. And I'm a realist. I'm going to be real with people. EXP may not be for you, and that's the reality of it. If you're not an agent that's going to go out and plan on being a high producing agent, then maybe EXP is not for you. You got to look at the model and see if it makes sense for you. But for me, it makes sense. And if you plan on working this business like you should, then it's going to be the best way to go. I mean, there's just nothing that compares to it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great example of the model. There's nothing to compare it to. Once you get it, you get it. If you're a numbers person, look at the numbers. If you are not a numbers person, look at the culture, the community, the mentorship program, and it just makes sense for most people. You're right, it's not for everyone, and if it's not for you, we don't want you over here anyway, but all are welcome. Ask ask your questions. If Junior is somebody that you feel like you've got the same mentality as, or somebody that you would really enjoy working with and consider being your sponsor with EXP, reach out, get connected, ask all your questions, be skeptical. You owe it to yourself to be skeptical because this is a big business decision. Absolutely. And Junior, quit copying me. I'm reading my mind.
I'm agreeing. Junior. I'm not copying.
I'm the host. Just kidding. But obviously Junior and I are on the same brain wavelength here.
Right.
But reach out all and all things EXP. We're EXP big fans here because it just makes sense. This model is incredible, and that's all there is to it. And Junior, we're coming up on over 23 minutes here. I think it's been an awesome episode. Is there anything that you want to leave the listeners with today as we wrap it up?
Well, the only thing that I can really think of is, everybody's always like, I get the same question is, what does it take to get to your level? And for me, even though I'm doing well, I'm not doing, and this is part of that mentality, right? I'm doing well, but I'm not doing where I want to be. I want to continuously be better every year. I want to be better. So it's working the business. It's keeping your mind in the game. This is if you're a people's person and you work this business the way that it's supposed to be worked, you're going to be successful. You just got to want it. You can't be lazy. You got to go out there and stay in front of people. Again, work the sphere of influence and just enjoy it and take the ups with the downs. You're going to make mistakes, learn from it. That's the biggest piece of it. Learn from it. Don't make the same mistake. Keep your checklist tight from your listing transactions and your selling transactions. Keep those checklists tight, follow them carefully, because when you start getting busy and you're trying to do it all yourself, you're going to miss something. So keep your checklist tight and follow them closely. But just have fun with it, and I love this business. There's nothing else I'd rather be doing. And I'm just glad to be on this podcast and share some of my story.
Yeah, Junior, I think it was an awesome story. Great advice you had to offer, especially when it comes to the sphere of influence. So if you guys have any questions, reach out to Junior. Lean into that mentorship opportunity that you guys may have there. And are you going to be at EXPCon, Junior?
Absolutely. Just purchase the ticket.
Awesome. Great. Well, I will plan on seeing you there, getting reconnected IRL, where I don't have to be like, sign up for my podcast and do it now.
I know you got knocked me down. You like come rushing because I think I was coming out of the icon room or maybe it was the VIP with.
Yeah, because we were set up right outside one of those nice rooms, and you guys you have those little banners that's like, I'm an icon agent.
Yeah.
And I was like, Yep.
You almost knocked me down.
We're gonna talk. Well, this time I won't attack you. Maybe I'll get to buy you a drink instead, Junior. So thank you so much for your time today. Awesome episode. And when you expand to different markets, please let me know. I would love to pick your brain on that on another episode.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Thanks, Junior. See you in Vegas.
See ya. Have a good one.
Bye. You too. Bye-bye.
This Icon podcast is hosted and sponsored by Sphere Rocket Virtual Assistants, a leading provider for your virtual assistants and outsourcing needs. Owned by one of the top-ranking EXP agents, Justin Nelson. Sphere Rocket VA provides a one-stop virtual staffing solution for business owners, and we specialize in helping business owners grow their business by leveraging through virtual assistants. Trusted by the top names in the real estate industry like Kyle Whistle, Andrew Franklin, John Kitchens, and many more. Get ready to up your success and we'll help you achieve your business goals. Book your free consultation at sphererocketva.com and find out how we can make your life easier.